And we are back here on this annual Day of Giving. First guest of the day, head coach of the men's basketball team, Chris Rogers, 15 years strong. Great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about how this season went for you so far?
I thought the season was a success. Would I have liked the ending to be a little bit different? Absolutely. We had some unfortunate injuries, but we grew through them. Some guys got some opportunities they may not have gotten. They stepped up, and we played to the end. Would I have liked the outcome to be a little bit different? Yes, but I was really proud of what we did.
Yeah, I mean, following the team for as long as I've had, definitely in my mind as well, a very successful year, making it to the AEC championship game. Now, we're going to shift gears a little bit. Very successful event put on just about a week ago here at Marymount University, the Special Olympics. Can you talk a little bit about that event as a whole and how you've seen the Marymount community sort of corral towards it?
Yeah, it's been a great event. I would say I inherited the event in terms of like being involved when I got here. The event has grown, and I think the biggest growth has been just the student-athlete involvement. This year was great. The energy that they brought, obviously the athletes and coaches showed up and were ready to go, and the games were competitive, and you can always have a low-scoring or defensive battle in basketball, but the games were high-scoring. I think that made it even more exciting. We had a great guest that kicked off the event. There were a lot of really nice things about the event this year that just continues to make it better.
Can you talk a little bit more about how you've seen the student involvement grow here over the years at Marymount?
Yeah, I think that we used to, I don't want to say we had to work hard, but there was a lot more effort in terms of getting volunteers on the student-athlete side. And I believe this year, the second we posted it, we had over 150 student-athlete volunteers. It ended up being more than that. And I feel like every team, except for maybe one who was competing all day on that day, was represented there. And there were a lot of representatives. So it's not an ask anymore. I think kids on campus want to be and kind of expect to be involved. And like I said, at the games and the energy and just the entire day, it was pretty obvious.
And can you talk about that energy and, just seeing the joy on the players' faces and also the students' faces and being involved in such an important event here at Marymount?
Yeah, Danny Carson, who's a Marymount lacrosse alum and is the head coach at Messiah now, the head men's lacrosse coach at Messiah, he started the day off with a really nice address and honestly an angle that we haven't had before, where he obviously addressed the athletes and the coaches and their family and friends that were in attendance, but he also talked to the students about what they should be thinking about and really how they could contribute to the day and what they should be getting out of it. It added to the event. And I think if you were at the last game, for the second set of championship games, and you walked in the gym, you wouldn't have known who was playing. If it was if it was our championship game, or if it was the Special Olympic championship game, there was just a lot of people in the gym, a lot of energy, and it was just a great thing to be a part of.
And can you talk about how you've seen connections be made from our athletes here at Marymount University and the athletes participating on the Special Olympics Day event?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of involvement on that day, and I think that's something I've talked to the people who work for and who are involved in the Special Olympics about. Like, their wish is for us to be more involved outside of that day, and I agree. One of the big things that I've heard from coaches and people that work for the Special Olympics is just that, does this experience for some of our student athletes, will that lead them to being volunteering to be a coach or being involved outside of this particular day? And hopefully that happens. Hopefully we're planting a seed by having the event that people want to get involved at a little deeper, higher level because of their experience while they're here.
And what's that feeling like and this goes across all the sports here at Marymount, but I'm going to speak to you directly. If you're coaching a basketball game here at Marymount and you see someone who participated in the Special Olympics in the crowd, what does that do for you?
I just think it makes it obvious that that day is important, and we're making connections, and it's, creating relationships that go past, we're here, we're supporting you that day. Like they people want to be more involved, and they want to, and they want to, I guess in some ways, just return the support, that they recognize that and want to be a part of our program or just part of the Marymount community more than just that day.
And then switching up a little bit, I want to talk about a former coworker of yours, the former head coach of the Marymount women's basketball team, Margaret White, who has transitioned into a role of working with the Special Olympics in the area full time, and how having that connection has sort of continued to foster that connection, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of people to thank. But just in the past, I mean, this was the 29th year that we've hosted it. So there's a lot of people that I won't be able to thank, but certainly starting with Margaret, who was our former women's coach and is now in a director role for Northern Virginia. Her previous experience and now with the role that she has, it really helped me and everybody involved, because there were a lot of people involved this year that did a lot to help it happen. It just really helped the process. It was extremely organized, like the communication between us and the coaches when the teams arrived, knowing what to expect and being ready to go. It was just having her in that position. While I loved having her here as my counterpart on the women's side, it was great to have her essentially running things from that side this year.
And if you don't mind me, I'm going to read directly from the sheet we got here. We got little cheat sheets. I want to make sure I don't misquote. But the tournament actually earned a National Association of Division III Athletic Administrators Community Service Award last summer. Had to make sure I had that correctly quoted. How rewarding was it to get the recognition for all the years, like you said, 29 years, of putting this event on?
Yeah. Well, that's certainly not why we're doing it, right? I'm not looking to be rewarded in that sense. But it was really nice to have that recognition for all the people that have been involved, and doing it for this long. I mean, obviously we had a little hiatus during COVID, and a lot of things did. But, I'd love to. I think, did we get third place? Was that what we?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then we're shooting for first. So I guess we're going to be competitive and want to keep doing this and make it the best event possible. Hopefully, we'll just continue to raise the bar, and maybe next year we'll get the bigger plaque.
And final few questions, going to switch gears slightly more onto the Day of Giving side of things. What sort of things would fundraising get for you and your squad? Would it be more gear or more, team trips, maybe a spring or I guess a winter break trip, things like that?
I think it would do a lot of things for us. I mean, certainly would it help with, outfitting our kids, and yes, could we maybe afford some equipment that we don't have that I feel like would help them in skill development, things like that? Absolutely. Yes, I think there's a competitive advantage when a program can say that they're going to be able to go on a trip, maybe an international one every other year, every 4 years, whatever the rules permit. So there are a lot of things that support would help us do, and hopefully help just continue to maintain the success we've had.
All right, well, Coach Rogers, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us here on this Day of Giving, and, of course, the grand title being the first interview guest we have in person here.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the day, and be sure to donate.